This matchup, Dave Chaffee versus Ermes Gasparini, is going to be one of the most important arm wrestling matches of the year because the winner is very likely to face the undisputed king of arm wrestling, Levon Saginashvili. Both athletes have a real shot at winning this, which is the hallmark of a good matchup. In this video, I'm going to award each athlete points based on their recent match history, their strength differences, their body differences, and a few other factors, and use that to determine who's going to win this thing. Let's get into it.
Take it back, take it.
Real quick guys, on top of making arm wrestling content for the internet, I also make arm wrestling content in real life. I designed this product to help you train your flat finger containment strength, so if that's an area you want to get stronger, check it out, link will be in the description. And it goes without saying that any purchases help the channel out a lot and allow me to commit more time to making arm wrestling content for you guys. Alright, with that said, let's get back to the video. Our first battleground is going to be the tail of the tape, and I'm using Gold's arm here, which is going to allow us to compare stats side by side. On weight, Chaffee comes in at 275 pounds. Obviously this is just a snapshot in time, but we'll use that as our reference. Ermes been up to 290 pounds. On height, Dave Chaffee is 6'2". Ermes is 6'2" or 6'1", depending on who you ask. We'll probably have a better idea after this Saturday, November 19th, when they have their match. For the metric system viewers, that is 125 kilograms for Chaffee, 131 kilograms for Ermes, and they're both 188 centimeters. See? I'm thinking about you guys. Okay, it's bicep time. Chaffee comes in at 20.5 inches or 52 centimeters, and Ermes comes in at 20.9 inches or 53 centimeters. This gives Ermes a razor thin advantage on the bicep front. Keep in mind, you have to take these readings with a grain of salt. Here's Ermes in a recent video of his measuring his bicep, and you can see there is a bit of slack in the tape. These are hard to do by yourself, so I mean, we're just getting ballpark numbers here. Finally, on forearm and wrist, we have Chaffee with an 18.9 inch forearm, which is 48 centimeters, and Ermes has a 19 inch forearm, or 48 centimeters. I guess we're not doing the decimal, but Ermes gets the slight win there. And then on wrist, Chaffee has a 9.4 inch wrist, which is 24 centimeters, and Ermes has a 9 inch wrist, which is 23 centimeters, giving Dave the win there. Coming back to our scorecard, that is 2 points for Mr. Chaffee, and 3 points for Ermes. The next battleground that we're going to look at is their most recent match, and it was just over a month ago that this happened. Dave Chaffee beats Vitaly Laletin, widely considered to be the number 2 guy on the planet behind Levon. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen Laletin on the international stage in a little while, and we did actually see him take some L's back in more national tournaments in Russia. Here's one such example of Vitaly losing to Dmitry Salayev, who, I mean, Salayev is no slouch, but I mean, it's worth bringing up. Also note that Vitaly is clearly not the same Vitaly that we saw in the top 8, for example. He looks way smaller here, and he did bulk up for his match against Chaffee. We did more recently see Ermes versus Wagner Bortolato, but that was left-handed, so we're going to be checking out Ermes versus Arif, a world champion, and it was a clean sweep for Ermes. He looked great, clearly on another level, and obviously Arif is an amazing arm wrestler, but I wouldn't put him at that same caliber that someone like Vitaly Laletin is at. For that reason, back on our scorecard, I'm going to give Chaffee 2 points for beating Laletin, but I'm also going to give Ermes 1 point because he did sweep his opponent. Next up, we got to talk about experience. Dave Chaffee is sitting at 45 years old, and Ermes is sitting at 28 years old. Importantly, Dave's 45 years haven't just been spent on the couch. He's been all over the world, and he's pulled, I mean, you name it. Travis, here he is with Saplankov. In fact, I remember Dave telling a story that he broke his arm when he was really young, I want to say 16, while he was arm wrestling. So at 45 years old, it's possible that he's actually been arm wrestling longer than Ermes has even been alive. For that reason, congratulations Dave, you just got yourself a point. Finally, we're going to look at shared opponents, and in this case, it's Gennady Kvikvinia. They both pulled him pretty recently, and here's Ermes getting the final pin for a 4-0 sweep. Now, before you say it, I know they pulled a 5th and 6th round, but those don't matter. You win the match at 4 rounds, and people tend to mess around after that, and they don't want to get injured, so I don't see much value in putting those into our data set. Now, it was a full sweep, but Ermes did have to work for the pins. It wasn't like he flashed them every single round. Here you can see, I mean, he cracks the wrist pretty fast, but doesn't quite have that finishing horsepower that he needs, and it takes a few hits for him to finally get the knuckles under the pin pad. Now contrast that opening round for Ermes with Dave's opening round, which is I mean, much cleaner, pretty much straight to the pin pad. However, Dave did gas out, and ultimately, Gennady does beat him here. There you go. So what does that mean for our scorecard? Well, I'm going to give Chaffee 1 point because he was way more impressive in the early rounds, clearly has more horsepower, but Ermes got the win, and it was a sweep, so I'm going to give him 1 for each of those. 2 points total. I hope you can see why people are so excited for this match. I mean, even on our scorecard here, we have a dead even heat at 6 points apiece. And of course, there are other factors involved that are very hard to quantify, probably the most prominent of which is that Dave is taking this match on very short notice because originally it was going to be this man here, Jerry Cataret versus Ermes Gasparini, but Jerry got hurt. He injured his shoulder while bench pressing, and of course bench pressing 535 pounds for 5 repetitions. So Jerry had to pull out and Dave stepped in, and he only had a few weeks notice. We're not going to see Dave with the same amount of prep time that Ermes had, and how much is that going to matter? I'm not sure. The Lalatin match wasn't that long ago, so Dave should still be able to ride that performance wave into his match now with Ermes Gasparini. Another important factor is that Ermes has been hammering the weights. He's been training his butt off. He's looking better than ever. So just relying on past data isn't necessarily going to give us a perfect picture of what he's going to look like on the 19th. But if I have to make a prediction that you guys are going to hold me to, I'm giving it to Dave Chaffee because he was so much more dominant in those early rounds against Gennady than Ermes was, and then against his match with Lalatin, he seemed to have solved that endurance problem, outlasted Lalatin. So if he can combine that insane horsepower that he has early on with a new and improved endurance, I think he takes it. There we go. There we have it. This is the first time I've done a prediction video in that kind of point scoring style, so let me know in the comments if you liked it and who do you have and why. Be sure to check out the mod gripper link in the description. And finally, I try my best to put out content you guys enjoy, so if you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I put out multiple videos every week, and I will see you in the next one.